This year's prize has a painter who's also a sculptor, who's also an installationist, a video and film artist who is also maybe a sculptor, and a man who makes sculptures which are also installations. It's confusing, but it's the Turner Prize. It's a rubbish bin, a wonky, isometric kind of rubbish bin by the Scottish artist Martin Boyce. Are we indoors or outdoors? There are leaves laying on the floor, scattered about and drifting into corners. Very beautiful hand-cut leaves, which I'm sure you are allowed to pick up, so long as you put them down again. And they're with kind of waxy crepe paper, and they're in a rather beautiful geometric shape. This lovely ceiling of flip-flopping metal shapes. A suspended ceiling that creates lovely shadows around the walls and beautiful rhythms as you look at it. And beyond us, a strange metaphysical table. The table is actually modelled after a table made by the French designer Jean Pouvret. And on the tabletop, which is made of wood, is all this sort of graffiti. It's like a school table. And I can imagine sitting at this and thinking complicated thoughts. And perhaps that's what all this depicts, is a kind of confusion of thoughts and a confusion of inside and outside. I find it very beautiful. Martin Boyce is really one of the best artists in this show for me. It recalls a kind of utopian modernism, but at the same time it's been updated and shifted. Everything twisted out of kilter. If only modernism had always been like this, so playful and funny. But it's not really postmodernism either. It's really Martin Boyce's own thing. Hilary Lloyd's work is mostly video. I say mostly because as much as video, her work is also about the mechanics that get it here. You know, it's all to do with the projectors and monitors and screens. I'm never sure what I'm looking at in Lloyd's work. Maybe that's part of the point. It's a kind of ambient space in which things flicker, appear, and disappear. So just as it's not about just the things on the screen, but the space itself, you can also get caught up in the silhouettes. You get caught up in the image, the real thing and the virtual thing. One day, of course, all this technology will start to look old. Perhaps it already does. It'll be outdated and old-fashioned. Perhaps then it'll get more interesting again. But you know what? The more I look at her work, the more it escapes me. There's dried paint falling off the polythene sheeting that forms the entrance to Carla Black's space. And Black's work has a kind of delicacy and fragility that means that everything is kind of changing all the time. I mean, this paint is just flaking onto the floor and it's going to get all over my jacket if I'm not careful. Is this a painting? When does the painting stop? Does it stop here on the polythene or when it's already down on the floor? What's going to happen when hundreds and thousands of visitors come through? This stuff is all held up with sellotape. Black space is a sort of grotto, really, and it's all made out of paper and tinted plaster and very cheap domestic stuff. But how long will it last? How long will it survive the thousands of visitors coming through? Is its decay part of the adventure of the work itself? As this stuff gets pulled around, as feet trample in the pigment and people scuff up against the polythene, it's all going to come off on you. What's going to be left? You're going to need a bath at the end of it. There's also a faint smell. And these little balls down on the floor are bath bombs, things you throw in the bath and bubble and fizz. This kind of evocation of cleanliness and of pampering, self-pampering, and these sort of rather bright but pallid colours are vaguely reminiscent of a lot of American painting from the 1960s, colour field painting, what used to be called lyrical abstraction, that nobody does anymore, except Black has kind of reconfigured it into another form. Doesn't matter that it's not really painting, nor sculpture either. It's its own thing. George Shaw is a painter, but he doesn't use oil paint or acrylics. He uses Humbrol enamels, the kind of paint that kids use to decorate their model warplanes, and hobbyists use, Dad in the garage uses to refurb his model train set. And the places he paints are always the same. It's an edge of Coventry, an estate called Tile Hill, where he grew up, a hinterland between city and countryside. There's this sense of threat and menace. I mean, this is real England. This is a sort of don't care England, isn't it? It's always a kind of Thursday afternoon or a miserable Sunday. But it's not so obvious, Shaw's work. It's not just a critique of England. I think there is nostalgia in it, and a sense of melancholy, and a sense of where we live now. It's quiet, it's local, it's perhaps not cutting edge in the way that some of the other artists in the Turner Prize are. It's a kind of local poetry, if you like. And perversely, I wouldn't mind if George Shaw won.